Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's discussion is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go a little bit into my personal experience about how I learned today's topic personally. Okay? One of the hardest things pain can do to you is make you question yourself. Not just other people or what happened, yourself. It makes you question your judgment, your instincts, your voice, and your ability to tell what is real, especially in a way that really gets into your heart. There's this quiet damage it can leave behind. You'll start to wonder, how did I not see that? Why did I ignore that feeling? Why did I stay? And why did I believe that? And before you know it, the pain is no longer just about what happened. It's also about what it did to the relationship you have with yourself. That part is heavy. Because when you stop trusting yourself, everything gets louder. Doubt gets louder, fear gets louder, other people's opinions get louder, and your own inner voice, that gets louder to hear. We all know this feeling. You second guess your decisions, you overthink simple things, and you look for reassurance everywhere. You keep replaying the past, trying to find the exact moment where you should have known better. And I understand this completely. My last relationship was very toxic. It made me start losing my inner light and my inner voice. I started noticing my confidence was fading, my enthusiasm, my positive outlook on life. And before I noticed it, my family and friends saw it first. I would deny it when they mentioned it, because at that point I couldn't see it for myself. When something has hurt you deeply enough, part of you starts believing that the safest thing to do is never be wrong or being told that you're doing wrong. But that isn't possible. Honestly, that's not what self-trust is. Self-trust is not never making a mistake, about always getting it right. It's not becoming so guarded and hyper-aware that nothing can ever catch you off guard. Self-trust is knowing that even if life hurts you, you will not leave yourself in the aftermath. That's what makes it so powerful. Not perfection, but it's relationship. It's the relationship you build with yourself when you decide little by little that your inner voice matters again, that your feelings deserve your attention, that your discomfort is not something you talk yourself out of, and that your peace is not something you should have to portray just to keep something going. I learned this lesson recently as well when I was at my last job. For the few months prior to me leaving, I began noticing my coworkers treating me differently. I was being told less information about whatever event I was preparing for, and scheduled more and more to do things that kept me separated from others. At first it didn't bother me, but after a period of time it did. I should have trusted myself more to ask the simple questions like, what's going on? And why is this happening and that happening? But because of my thinking being so fight or flight from being in that toxic relationship, my thinking wasn't telling me to ask those questions at all. It goes back to what I said at the beginning. I was doubting myself, questioning my decisions, and ultimately, I lost my self-trust. When I finally did notice that my self-trust was damaged, and I started asking myself the how and the why questions, I recognized what was happening. I began to pay attention more, slowing myself down so I could stay calm and bring down all the noise surrounding me. At my job, all the things that tried to get me overwhelmed or question myself began to show their real intentions. I began to trust myself and my intuition and notice what was really happening. The coworkers that were real and the coworkers that were just putting on face. The situations that were normal and the situations that were intentionally being manipulated. Once I figured that out, I learned something very important about myself. That once you develop that relationship of trust within yourself, as long as your actions are with good intentions, you will always do what's right. I didn't let the betrayal of people I considered friends wound me, or the situations that were played a part of change my character. I had enough love and self-trust for myself to do what was best for myself in that situation. And that is why I left. Not out of anger or ill will towards my coworkers or the establishment itself, but out of the love and dignity I had for myself. Pure and simple. And when you trust yourself purely and your instincts tell you something, do it. Almost every single time, you will be right. And when you know that you're right, everything else will fall into place, just like it was meant to. This is how I learned that lesson. In no way, shape, or form am I saying quit your job or question those around you. We all learn this lesson in a different way and in a place when it's meant to be learned. Learning to build your relationship with yourself little by little and deciding that your voice matters again is something that deserves your full attention. That your discomfort is not something you talk yourself out of. Your peace is not something that you should have to betray just to keep something going. So for some people, rebuilding self-trust starts there. Not with some huge breakthrough or becoming instantly confident, but with gentle honesty. Honesty about what you knew, honesty about what you ignored, honesty about how you felt, and honesty about what you wanted to be true, even when something in you was uneasy. Sometimes the reason we don't trust ourselves is not that we don't have any wisdom, but that we overrode it. That's a painful truth, but I also think it's freeing. Because if your inner knowing was there before, even quietly, it can be strengthened again. It means that it's not gone or broken. It means part of you knows how to feel, sense, recognize, and discern. It may be shaken and it may be tired or even buried under grief, confusion, or disappointment, but it's still there. And that's what matters. Healing is not just moving on from pain. Healing is about rebuilding credibility with yourself. It's about becoming someone you own, that your own spirit can rest with. Someone who listens and pays attention, someone who stops explaining away every red flag, every ache, every hesitation, and every moment of inner resistance. That's when fear isn't your compass anymore. Truth becomes your compass. Fear is loud, it rushes, it spirals, and it wants certainty. Truth is quieter. It doesn't perform, it simply just stays. It always returns and keeps nudging, and it keeps getting your attention. I've noticed that intuition doesn't feel dramatic at all. In fact, it feels very simple. Sometimes it's just a small moment where your body tightens and your peace leaves, and something inside you goes still. It's not this big voice saying, run. It's this quiet knowing going, this isn't right for me. That's the voice that matters. Rebuilding self-trust means learning not to abandon that voice just because it's inconvenient, or because it threatens what you want, or because honoring it might require change. It's not easy, but it is healing. Every time you listen to yourself with honesty, you repair something. Every time you tell yourself the truth, you choose peace over confusion, and every time you stop negotiating your own well-being. That is how truth comes back. That is how you learn to trust yourself again. Slowly, through consistency and honesty. Every small decision teaches your heart that I am here now. I'm listening now. I won't keep overriding what I knew just to avoid discomfort. That is one of the deepest forms of healing that I know of. And people need more compassion around this. Rebuilding trust in yourself after pain can feel vulnerable or even embarrassing. It may even feel frustrating because you want to be further along or want it to feel stronger already. You want to stop doubting and just know. But real growth is quieter than that. Growth is catching yourself sooner, needs less convincing, recognize what's draining you without making excuses, and finally believing in yourself. Believing in your own sadness, discomfort, inner resistance, or trying to talk yourself out of it. It all counts. And I want to say this too. Trusting yourself again does not mean closing off. It does not mean assuming the worst, and it doesn't mean building a wall so high that nobody will be able to reach you. It means becoming rooted in more honesty, more discernment, willingness to stay connected to yourself and to others, and even when emotions get messy. Because most people view self-trust as hardness. I don't. Real self-trust is actually very grounded and very calm. It says I can listen to my feelings without feeling panicked. It says I can notice what's off without needing to prove it to anybody. And it says I can walk away from what disturbs my peace, even if part of me wishes it was different. Because I respect myself enough to pay attention that this real and quiet is strength. And when you start rebuilding that, something beautiful happens. You stop living so far away from yourself, and you stop waiting for everyone else to tell you what's true. You stop needing constant permission to honor what you already knew. You begin to trust that you can handle your life with more honesty, not perfect, but honesty. And that's more than enough. The goal is not to become someone who never feels uncertain. It's to become someone who can look at uncertainty right in the eyes without abandoning themselves. That changes how you love, what you tolerate, how quickly you recover, and how deeply you respect your own path. And most importantly, it gives you your own company back. There is something so powerful about becoming safe again. You listen when something feels off. You honor what hurts. You no longer need pain to get louder before you finally pay attention. That is peace. That is what our spirits long for. Not a perfect life or total control. The ability to hear themselves clearly and trust the voice enough to respond. So if you're in a season of your life where pain has made you doubt yourself, I want to tell you this very clearly. You are not weak because your trust has gotten shaken. You are not foolish because you missed something. You are not broken because it takes time to come back into alignment with yourself. Be gentle with yourself and be honest too. Listen closer, slow down, and notice what keeps returning. Notice what steals your peace. Notice where you keep needing to betray yourself to hold on to something. That is not failure. It's the beginning of wisdom. Wisdom is how trust returns. So maybe it's not asking yourself, how do I become fearless? But instead, how do I become someone who listens to myself again? That's when everything shifts. You stand differently, you choose differently, you recover differently, and you love differently. And that is mature healing. It's self-respect, and that is a beautiful thing. So if you're having trouble with self-trust, start small. Tell yourself the truth, honor what you feel, and pay attention to your peace. And always choose not to leave yourself behind. It builds every time you decide your inner voice deserves to be heard. And over time, that changes your life. You do not need to become perfect to trust yourself. You just need to begin listening in a way that feels honest, gentle, and real. All right, guys. Thank you. I know it was a little deep, but as always, thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. And thank you to my family, my friends, and everyone who still supports me and is here for me. So if you guys want to continue this journey, stay tuned for the next message. But until then, have a wonderful night.